So I always try to take really complex issues and turn them into something very, very simple. The complex issue is that language ends up dividing something further than it needs to be divided. Think about it this way. If you didn't have language, and you didn't have all the information that was included with having language, when you saw a bird, you could look at a bird and then define the bird by, oh, the color and the stripes and this and that and the next thing. And then you could look at I don't know, maybe a pig or a cow. And then you could go, okay, well, those two are down a level and they don't really look alike, and you'd kind of classify them differently. And then you could, catch a few fish, or, go out in your boat, or maybe just from land, cast your net or your hook and catch a couple fish. And what they do is you bring them up and you look at them and go, they're different. They're different. That one's brown, one's green. And so we get into this defining factor. And then we use language to try to define what it is that we're seeing. The observation comes first. And we've simplified this division that occurs in the mind, in the real mind. Because, okay, look, we got a person here that's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and there's a couple sorts of green. And we can make that even a lot more, into a lot more colors there, right? They're all dancing a little different and have a little movement patterns. And that's glorious. That's great. That's wonderful. Because they're all being exactly what they are. And so we'd look at everything in this way of going, that's a tree. This is what they say, look at the world as like a child. That's a bed. See, that's what you would say. You'd see a difference. But if you just looked at it, you go, what the fuck is this? Oh my goodness. You'd see a bike, and the child sees, oh my fuck, that's holy shit. That's a whole new something. And we're given so many triggers to believe something is something it isn't. So we go, that is that. That's the way it is, and that's what it's going to be. And we use language to refine that. And it's a great tool for a lot of reasons. Language is allowing me to convey this information to you. But it's not allowing you very much, because I can tell some people stumbled on the last idea. And here's why. Because I'm trying to explain to you how all things aren't as they seem to be. When you watch the TV, when you, have you ever played a joke on someone? It's like that. But like to the highest degree, which at the highest end of the joke, like you're God, you create all of this. And that's what I try to teach. I just try to teach from that point. So you don't got to deal with the other, the nonsense. Like if you're playing a video game, you don't got to go through like levels 1 through 7 to get to 8. Like here, I'll give you the cheat code right there. Get to the top, and all you do is look in the mirror and see yourself and realize that you just divided everything using language. And so that idea of language was to give people, like, the initial thing was this. See, and I used the analogy earlier of something in the sky, something in the land, and something in the water to differentiate those three types of beings. It's the same way as every other culture has done. They give you a totem pole. They give you a few ideas of like the different energetic values of things. Like, are you what a lot of people say is astrology or astronomy. That they made it seem just a little different, even though it's. Okay, so astrology, they say, oh, there's a green earthy person, and there's a red fiery person, there's a blue watery person, and there's an air person. I don't know, what color are they? red, orange, yeah. So you got those 4 colors, those 4 kinds of people. And that was the differentiation. And those first 4 differentiations, because you'll see it turns to north, south, east, and west. It was all built off of the body. Turned into something that got larger. It turned into how many fingers do we have? And then the language went from, initially there was man, woman, and child. Turned into, okay, that's 3 things. Well, first it was me. Then it was me and my wife, or for if you're a woman, it'd be you, and then you and your husband. So then we go from 1 to 2. And then we'd see our child, and we'd say, well, holy, what did we just make here? Then we'd say 1, 2, 3. And we'd use this, but we don't know where he came from, so we'd start it at 0. And then 0 plus the 1 of me and the 1 of you equals 2. Now, does anybody notice where I'm going with this, with the golden mean? And how these things occur, because 0 plus 1 is 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2, and 1 plus 2 is 3. That becomes the child. And the next thing we see after that child is we go, wow, that's a family. That turns into 5. It's called a family. It has to do with the physical world. Now we're recreating. We skipped over 4. Like 4 was not even interested. And then you go 5 plus 3 is 8. We've just skipped over 6 and 7. Okay? 4 was the door. Now, if anybody's not following me here, go look at my early work. I can verify all of this. So now you're here at the door, which was 4, which you bypassed by going to 5, by using the golden compass, the golden mean, the golden triangle, the golden rule, the golden how it expands, why a blossoming flower looks like it does, why the spiraling nature happens. So 5 equals 8. Because you had 3, then all of a sudden you had 5, right? So 3 plus 5. So you got your 5 in your physical family, and then you got 8, which is infinity. As soon as you get to 5, you just go, oh, I'm just jumping to 8, because 5 plus 3 is 8. And you just get stuck there. Or you just add the last one to that. So 5 and 8 is 12. And there's that other master number, which you get 12 hours in a day. And you're like, oh man, it's 12 hours in a day. That's crazy. Like, I was just at 8 and then I went to 12. So see, the mathematics is revealed very simply in the way the mind works. So you went from seeing nothing to seeing yourself, to seeing you and your mirror image. Mirror, the man, the woman. The mirror, the black and the white. There it is. You see? Now you got, after looking at the mirror, 1 and 2. Because now you've looked at the reflection. So reflection is looking at self. And self is looking at the reflection of itself. Now you got 3, which is the child. Because the mother says, oh man, I looked in the mirror and I saw myself. And the father says, I looked in the mirror and I saw myself. Yet they had to come to terms to raise the child. So they both looked at each other and looked into the child and said, well, it's got to be an equal reflection of both of us. And created a third point of reference for all of reality. Now, the child has to look at the mother and the father and say, hey, which way am I supposed to go? Now, the mother's going to have her influence because she is still who she is, because she got out of her parental situation. She had to prove who she was. And now this man who did the same thing that impregnated this woman had the same identity crisis to figure out who he was. Now, they both came together, created a child. And how does the child figure out what it should be? Hey, I look up here to my mother. I look up here to my father. How should I be? What should I be? And has to deal with that mathematics of the masculine and the feminine is already split into 4s. Because the mother had the masculine and the feminine side, and the father had the masculine and the feminine side too. Now you jam that in the child, and all of a sudden now he's got 5 choices. Because he's living in the physical world. He figured it out for himself. Or she. Again, doesn't matter. It's a being. It's a God. I mean, if we're talking from where I'm talking from, it's a God. So now you've got this one being looking at 5 essences. 5 of them. I can smell, I can see, I can hear, and yeah, see, now we got the 5 cycle reality. The 2 feet, the 2 arms, and the head. Arm, leg, arm, head. Allah. What do we do here? Well, the first thing we do is eat. We eat. So we've eaten. We've ate. We've spiraled into infinity. 8 exists forever. As soon as you become physical, you live forever. Now the child ate. 8 of the tree of knowledge. 8 of all of the trees. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. It was feminine to begin with because it was the darkness that collected the light. The light was the fruit went into the woman was black. The black woman, the black mother, was the darkness that sucked up all the information that became melanin. Melanin is carbon. Carbon is the bond to make something living. Something that's living that came out of the earth is the truth because it was living. It came out of the dead world and became living. See? Now you're at 8 years old. Or at the place of 8, and you have to take what was given to you, which was 5, and 8 plus 5 is 12. At least, as far, let's just prove it. 8 plus 1 is 9, and then 10, and then 11. Is that right? 12, and then, oh, was it proven? Did you just take my word for it? 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. Plus 1 is... Oh, we bypassed that 12. You got right to 13. See, if you just done the math for yourself, you'd have figured out you went from being physical. You had to bypass time and become a god. Why is a god 13? Because a monad is the number 13. In the middle of the clock is the center point of reality. There's 12 things that go, 12 Horuses, 12 hours, 12 things, 12 zodiac. You just bypassed all that. And most people get stuck on 12. And this is why if you go into an elevator, to evade L, which is God, which is yourself, what do they bypass? 13. Do you see it? 13. 3. Right there. You had to bypass what you were initially because they told you even in buildings. And what are buildings? Buildings are called, well, the fact what they're made of is one thing, and how they're named. You got the keystone and all this. There's a lot to do with the dead world and how the physicality became the thing that it was a spirit. So it's even encoded in that. So now even on these elevators, you're trying to get away from the L, the angle of God, the angel of God, which was yourself because it's already written in your hands. You jump on this elevator and you bypass 13. That's so crazy. Why would you bypass 13? And it's so strongly committed to the technology and architecture of the Masons, that the people that build the buildings instruct certainly that the number 13 won't be on the building. Now you go walk into a building, you find me a number 13, take a picture of it. I guarantee you can't. So how ingrained in society, and who built this society, then you better very much realize what the number 13 means. I mean, why did it just go from 1 to 11, 12? That don't rhyme. 13, 14, 15. Yeah, why did it change there? There's a really big occurrence at 13. So I went too far with this one. I went a little bit to the right, about I don't know, 37-degree angle off of. Tried to find my way back to the idea I was getting at, but it just had to do with dividing language up properly so that you could see that language doesn't have a lot to do with colors. It's the reason if you go into a comedy club that you can hear people talk about things that they wouldn't say during the normal business day at a business meeting. Still humans nonetheless, but there's a place and a value system for those types of offerings. So, Hope you enjoyed this rant. We'll talk soon, y'all.